Okay, today we're going to do something just a little bit different. Something I haven't done with this channel before. We're going to talk about a couple of firearms and kind of in the keeping it in the realm of preparedness. This video is really inspired by a video I saw from Demolition Ranch the other day. He did a video on his Henry AR-7 U.S. survival rifle that he said something that really rings true. He said that the AR-7, you know, his Henry U.S. survival rifle, that's the gun you want with you when you don't think you need a gun with you. And that really, like I just said a second ago, it rings very true. And I do have a story or two to share for recent use of this firearm, in fact, you know, that go right along those lines. We'll get to that here in a little bit. Now, the Henry U.S. survival rifle and the Ruger 1022 Takedown are really dissimilar firearms. You know, the only thing that really makes them be useful for the same kind of, like Nothing Fancy likes to say, philosophy of use is the fact that they take down, that they can become a smaller package than, you know, a full-length rifle. That's really, you know, that's the only thing that makes these similar. I mean, they're both semi-automatic 22 long rifle firearms, but in all honesty, the 1022 is a whole lot more gun than the Henry U.S. survival rifle is. You know, if I'm going out shooting gophers for the day or going out after varmints, yeah, the 1022 is just a whole lot more firearm. You can see I've done some customizations to this one. It's got an optic on it. That optic is sitting on a see-through riser. I added a set of Skinner sights to this. I've got some Skinner peep sights, and they are the best peep sight on the market. They are the finest aperture sight you're going to find anywhere, and they're made here in Montana. St. Ignatius, Montana is the name of the town. And yep, look them up on the web, Skinner sights. You know, I'm not the only one who Jeff at Gun Blast, you know, promotes them quite a bit, and you aren't going to find a better aperture sight. But in any case, moving on from there, you know, these are dissimilar firearms. You know, the 1022 and the AR-7 are just, you know, they're night and day. It's a night and day difference, and not just in weight and construction. Well, yeah, those are the big ones right there, weight and construction. Also, the size that they break down to. You know, you've all seen this before. If you're watching this video, you have seen a Henry AR-7 put together, taken apart, probably field stripped, and etc. And we're not going to get too far into that. It's just going to be a brief overview today. The 1022, you know, here's the luggage this comes in. You know, this is about the size of an overnight bag. I mean, gee whiz. This is a range bag. This isn't so much a, you know, grab it and go because things have gone wrong, or this is a pretty big piece of luggage. It just is. The nice thing is you can keep a lot of stuff in here. You know, I've got hundreds of rounds of ammunition in this. I've got, I don't know, maybe 5 of these 25 round magazines, 4 or 5 10 round magazines, cleaning kit. You know, yeah, there's just lots and lots of room in the luggage to have everything you might need at the range or for a weekend out or whatever it may be. I mean, there are nice things to say about the luggage, but that's a pretty big package when you compare it to this. It just is. This is a very small, lightweight package to have a rifle with you. Okay, let me put this together real quick and we'll talk just a little bit. I think everybody's aware by now that that the Henry version of the AR-7 is quite worthwhile. Previous versions from Armalite and Charter, you know, their major failure, I think, was their magazines didn't seat very well, and I remember doing some modification to that. Notable is that the Henry magazines do not work in an older Charter Arms, and the Charter Arms magazines don't work in the Henry. That's just it's one of the several improvements Henry made to this firearm when they put it out. There are other improvements to talk about. One of those is that they redesigned the interior of the butt just a little bit so that you can leave a loaded magazine, which we have. You can leave a loaded magazine in the receiver plus 2 more magazines in the receiver. So you've got 3 8-round magazines full of ammo in the butt if you want to. The firearm comes with 2. You can buy more of them. I bought mine from Henry. I own 7 magazines for this. I think we have about 5 of them with us today. So in any case, you just watch me completely construct this rifle. It's ready to go. I'll say right there that if I don't end up cutting it out of the video, you saw me put together the 1022 as well, and that's just slide it together and twist, and it's ready to go. This is quite a bit more complex to put together, but again, this isn't, you know, so much a direct comparison as a philosophy of use sort of thing. All right, now about 50 yards away here, actually I pasted off at 46.5 yards. I've got a 6-inch steel plate hanging. Today is kind of a nice day for this. It's quite windy, and that's why we are in the tractor shed right now. But we are going to step just outside the tractor shed, lean on the post here while we take a few shots with probably both of these rifles. I'm going to reset these cameras. I'm hoping to get you know, do like a well, like so many other people do. I'm going to try to get a camera on the target and one on me shooting, and we'll see how that goes. All right. All right, I just put a shooting C down there on that plate. We're going to take a few shots, and hopefully the other camera, you know, is a little bit better able to pick up, you know, what's going on down on that end of the range. Malfunction. Ooh, didn't quite kick out that last round. I may have allowed the bolt to touch this wall. I don't think so, but I'm going to push the bolt handle back in. But I may have let that touch the wall. It's pretty unusual for this firearm to not feed ammo, although I do have some, I've got some golden bullets in it, you know, or some thunderbolts in it, and those aren't good. Those aren't good. We'll reload this up maybe with some CCI mini mags. Yeah, I think that this is ammo related. failure to feed, failure to extract. This is not the behavior I expected from this rifle. And I think we're empty. Yep, we are empty. Now, you will see when we look at the footage from the other camera that this, at roughly 50 yards, just a shy less than 50 yards, this is pretty easily minute of cottontail. For what I can see from here with my aging eyes, it looks like I took out the upper right quadrant of that shoot-and-see and really pumped a bunch of rounds into the exact same spot. The windage is adjustable here at the this front sight drifts right and left. In fact, you can do it with your fingers. I just moved it just a little bit just now. The rear aperture is you can flip it over. There's a bigger hole on one side and a smaller hole on the other, and that's and elevation is a little bit adjustable at the rear when you're changing when you flip over, or you can slide it up and down this rear aperture. I've taken the optic off of the 1022. We're going to use the aperture sights on this, and let's see how that goes. Well, looks like I took out the upper left quadrant, but I was firing really pretty fast. Now let's throw a few more rounds in this and maybe slow it down a little bit. There are just a few rounds in this magazine. I don't know what's in this one, but I know it's not full. It was the end of a box. Empty. Yep, empty. Alright, well, there you have that. But I've got one more thing to talk about as far as the philosophy of use goes. Oh, wait a minute. I said I'd load this Henry up with some better ammo and see how it goes. We're going to do that. I've got a box of CCI mini mags right here. And we'll load one mag of those. And okay, here are some mini mags. We'll see how they feed. Click. Empty. Empty. So, there you have it. It looks to me like I was probably right, that my failure to feed's not full extraction, whatever exact problem I was having there. Some of those casings were getting caught in the action like they were a little underpowered, so it couldn't quite kick them out of there. And then I had at least one complete just failure to feed. There was nothing in the chamber, and there was a rounds still in the magazine. But that was with those, you know, Thunderbolts. Those mini mags just ran just fine. So I think we can put it off to that. All right, one more quick topic to visit here on the philosophy of use, and then we'll wrap this up. All right, we've moved not quite half the distance closer to the target. We are at about, looks like at about 25-ish yards. Philosophy of use, you need a 22 with you, maybe, you know, that whole statement about it's the gun you want to have with you when you don't think you need a gun with you. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Empty. The Ruger SR22p. I think I could have had a little more distance here. I could have added 10 yards to that and done as well as I did, which wasn't spectacular. I missed a third of those, I suppose. But, you know, here I am showing off for the camera rather than really bearing down on thinking, wow, I'd like to eat that rabbit, or I'd sure prefer that coyote was dead, or, you know, some other thought process like that. Let's go back over to the tractor barn. We'll cut this down to one camera running, I think, and final thoughts. Okay, so I promised you story time about this AR-7 and the philosophy of use, and why I felt inspired by Demolition Ranch's statement in his video that this Henry U.S. survival rifle, you know, is the gun you ought to have with you when you don't think you need a gun with you. Now, I'm not talking about your self-defense weapon. Let's just not even, that's not part of this equation, you know, that's not part of this discussion. This discussion is, you know, yeah, I believe exactly what he said, that this is the gun that you should have with you when you don't believe you're going to need a gun. And again, discounting your personal carry gun, that's not part of what I'm talking about. So again, that's not where we are. But as far as having a little rifle, or, you know, this is the gun you ought to have with you when you don't think you need a gun. And here's the story time to go along with that. Down the road here, about 7-8 miles, we are out at my dad's farm, if it wasn't obvious. I mean, people who are not my subscribers might not have known that, but we're out at my dad's farm today. 7 or 8 miles down the road here, we've got a dump. It's more of a transfer station. There's a big dirt ramp that you can back up with your truck, and there are a couple of semi-trailer sized dumpsters. They might be train cars or something of that nature with the tops cut off them. It's something nice the county does with our tax dollars, is they've got a little transfer station down there that the farmers out on this side of town can go throw their garbage there without having to drive, you know, 25-30 miles. That's a good deal. Excuse me. But in any case, on this side, just on our side of that, where that transfer station is down there, and that transfer station's a little ways off the highway. It's a left-hand turn up toward the mountains, and you go down a gravel road about a half a mile before you find it there. And but in any case, getting back to the story, the farm on this side of that little transfer station is a sheep ranch, and they're a pretty big outfit. They have several bands of sheep. They have thousands of sheep. They have a lot of property down in that area, and then they lease for grazing a lot of the hills right up here. In fact, they have a sheep drive a couple times a year, goes basically right by the house here. But in any case, they're about to start lambing here in just a week or two, and they've got all of their sheep down by the farmhouse and the barns down there, and they're feeding them out in that field. When I was on my way down to the dump, you know, just not all that long ago, a couple of coyotes crossed the road in front of me, headed toward, you know, that field full of sheep, and you know, that's I thought about it, and I know the terrain down there really well. So I got past that farmhouse, and on the other side of there's a little creek that runs through there, and there's a lot of brush. There's, you know, a lot of some smaller trees. So there's some cottonwood in there. There's some willow in there. It's pretty dense stuff with a lot of sagebrush, and then it's marshy too. So there's cattail, and you can get wet walking through there if you're not careful, if you don't know the terrain. But anyway, I turned up toward the dump, and I got up to the dump entrance, and I kept thinking about those two coyotes, and I thought, well, you know, I'd sure like to be able to do something about them, you know, but I didn't leave here thinking that I needed a rifle with me, so I didn't throw a 220 Swift in the truck. I wasn't out looking for coyotes. I didn't throw, you know, a 243, a 270. You know, I didn't have a centerfire rifle with me, but I did have this little AR-7. Fits right under the seat of my pickup truck. I just love that. I've told people my truck owns this gun. I don't. I borrow it from the truck sometimes because really it spends all of its time in the truck. I always have that. It's out of, you know, these three firearms I showed on camera today. Yeah, well, that one's the most likely to be with me because it's so easy to have with me that, yeah, if I ever get into trouble where I absolutely need a firearm, you know, that'll be the one that gets me out of trouble. But anyway, finish that story. You know, so I pulled up there by the dump, and I got out, and I crawled through the fence while I was putting that rifle together, and I got down in those brambles, and just as I cleared through the brush, I saw 4 coyotes out in that field. The 2 that had crossed in front of me, and I'm pretty certain it was those 2, they were hazing out a few sheep from the herd. That first one, the male, I got him at about 85 yards. It was a nice heart shot. That's pushing my capability with that rifle. 85 yards is a long way for me with that rifle to be pretty certain I'm going to get a clean shot with it. But I did. I was fortunate. I didn't wound him, although, you know, it's semi-automatic. I had 7 follow-up shots to take if I had not gotten a clean hit on him. But it was a nice heart shot, dropped him right there. And then the female that was with him, she saw, you know, she heard the shot, she saw everything, but she made a mistake. She came running right at me. She took several steps right at me, and that was fatal for her. I chose my shots. She was closer to me than the male was. She was only in the 65-ish yards away from me when I fired the first shot. But then she ran right at me, and she got several yards closer to me before she tried to change direction, and by that time I'd acquired my target, and she was done for, you know. So yeah, I left here heading for the dump. I was going to go to the dump, throw a bunch of bags of garbage from the garage out in the dump, and come home. I didn't go out figuring that I needed to hunt some coyotes. I didn't go out looking for them. I didn't go out, you know, but I had a rifle with me. I had a fully functional semi-automatic rifle with me that shoots straight enough that, you know, you got to take on a target that size at 85 yards. You're probably going to be successful. And if you practice with that firearm, you know, you can take smaller targets at similar distances, you know, without a whole lot of trouble. So if you're ever thinking, you know, you that live where there are a lot of squirrels, it wouldn't be a bad squirrel gun if you practiced with it. You know, this gun requires a little practice. You saw me do some missing today. It does require a little practice. It's nowhere near as easy to shoot as like that 1022 that you know, man. That gun's so easy to shoot. It's just so easy to shoot that gun well, and at pretty far distances, 120 yards, I'd be pretty comfortable taking on a coyote. Where I wasn't entirely comfortable at 85 yards with the Henry, my 1022, oh, you betcha, yeah, 100, 120, 125 yards, yeah, I'd have taken that shot. And I wouldn't, wouldn't even have let it be in my head. That's just an easy shot with that. It's easy to shoot that gun well. So there we go. There's the philosophy of use and story time. I'm kind of a believer in that AR-7. I owned previous versions of it. They've got kind of a cool factor to them. That's probably why I bought them. This Henry version runs really well. We had a little trouble today. I'm blaming it on the ammo. But, it runs really well compared to my old ones. Definitely compared to that Charter I had. That thing, magazines didn't seat very well in it. That thing was always giving me problems. But anyway, yeah, the fact of the matter is this is a okay firearm for a couple of $100. I think I spent $208 or $209 on mine. I usually see them in the stores around $225, $229. I have seen them on sale for $198. The black version, I think they get a little bit more money for the Realtree camo looking ones. I think they get a little more money for those. But cool little gun, functions just fine. The butt's a little wide. It's a little uncomfortable to shoulder. There are some negatives, sure, but this isn't a review. This is a philosophy of use. Like, I like to use Nut and Fancy's words on that. That's because that's what it is. It's a philosophy of use. Why you should own it. You want to own one of those? Yeah, you can get one for not very much money, and you can find them used for 150, 160 bucks. Worth owning. Not a whole lot of money. Gun works. It works. They run. They shoot pretty well, and with practice you can shoot them really well. There's my argument why you ought to own one of those. I love that 1022, but gee whiz, it comes in such a big piece of luggage. I don't always have. It doesn't fit behind the seat of my truck. It doesn't fit under the seat of the canoe. It doesn't fit just about anywhere. I wouldn't have a bigger gun. Even though it's a takedown rifle, the darn thing, especially considering its luggage, it doesn't fit anywhere I couldn't have a bigger gun. So I don't carry it that much. Love it. It's a lot of fun to shoot, and it's a straight shooter. But then, I don't think I'd have been successful at 85 yards with the SR22. I don't think I'd have taken that shot with this pistol, going back to story time and those two coyotes I got recently. I don't think I'd have taken an 85-yard shot with this and expected to be successful. Could I have hunted up on them a little closer, both those coyotes? Maybe. I might have got within 35 or 40 yards of the female that was closer to me before I opened fire. I could have got her with this, but I don't think I'd have got that male. I think he'd have escaped and lived on to kill a bunch of lambs here in a couple of weeks. So there we go. I'm done with story time, and I'm going to do my best to edit this video down to some reasonable length. We've got a couple of cameras today, and I hope that works out. That you'll be able to. It's a little more fun when you can see the bullets hitting the target and the guy pulling the trigger at the same time. That's kind of a nifty way to do it. So anyway, I appreciate your time. I know my videos go long, but you guys are real kind to me by spending your time watching my videos, and I do appreciate it. I appreciate the views, and I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the support you folks give me here and in the forums and etc. So I hope this content was interesting for you. I hope story time was okay. I know I probably offended a few people. Some people don't like to hear about hunting, and they don't agree with killing predators, and we're going to agree to disagree on that, because you're not going to change my mind and I'm not going to change yours. Just try not to be too offended with me, you who feel that way. I hope it doesn't keep you from watching my future videos, but these kind of topics are going to come up again, so maybe you shouldn't if you feel that way. Maybe you shouldn't subscribe to my channel if me talking about killing a coyote offends you or upsets you, because that's going to come back up, and you may see me next year dropping elk. You know, I may get that on camera. I hunt. I'm a hunter. I believe in it. You know, we can manage our wildlife, and people like me are why we can manage our wildlife. The fees that we pay along with our licenses and etc. That's why it gets done. So anyway, not to get too deep into that, but if I'm offending you with the hunting talk, yeah, you should probably move on to a different channel to watch for sure. If I'm not, you know, hey, great. I'm glad, you know, I'm glad I'm talking to folks who maybe see the world the way I do. That's kind of nice. So anyway, like I said, I appreciate your time. I appreciate the views. I appreciate the support you folks give me, you know, with your time and views, and the nice things that people say in the forums and generally down in the comments. I do appreciate it. Thanks for coming out to the farm with me again today, and I hope the rest of your day goes really, really well. Thank you.